Right, for some reason, my recording, OBS, I hit record, waited a couple seconds, started talking, and then it just didn't record the bit that I wanted it to, which was my nice little intro. So you're stuck with past editing me right now. Enjoy the video. We are back on my Formula 1 Fantasy 2020 prediction season. My name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and today is round number 10 in Great Britain around Silverstone. So for those of you just joining on episode number 10, round number 10, I'll pop a link to the playlist starting from round number 1 in Austria in the card in the corner. And the whole idea of this series is to basically recreate the 2019 calendar. That's what I'm basing it off of. Change it using a bunch of maths based off of the 2020 testing times and a couple other variations or variables to hopefully give a good representation of what 2020 would have been like had Rona not happened. Now, obviously that's taken a lot of maths, quite a lot of maths actually. There is a separate maths video of going about exactly how I create all of these tables. Equally, there is a second maths video as I have slightly changed it all ahead of Britain. I've given it a slight tweak, a slight variation. And finally, before we get started, there is a making of video going from a blank Excel page to a finished video production. And just before we get started, I want to say sorry that this video is a little bit later than I'd have liked. I've been working a lot. That's all that's really been happening. I've been working a lot. It's also Monday, less than a week till race day. We will know officially who has won the Austrian Grand Prix this time next week in 7 days' time. That's pretty cool. And also, Mercedes have just released their black livery. That's awesome. I'm going to talk about that in a later video. But now it is time, finally, for practice around Silverstone. So practice 1 opens with a Red Bull and Mercedes alternating quartet at the top, with Verstappen and Bottas leading Gasly and Hamilton. Ricciardo splits the Ferrari duo in 6th place, with Perez 8th in front of a second Renault of Ocon. Sainz for McLaren just makes it into the top 10, 2 tenths clear from Stroll. Norris is in the AlphaTauri sandwich for 12th place, with Russell P15 for Williams. There's a second alternating quartet of practice 1, with Giovinazzi and Magnussen leading Raikkonen and Grosjean, with Latifi rounding off the field. Practice 2, however, is led by Valtteri Bottas from Verstappen, Hamilton and Leclerc. Perez is now 5th, with Gasly falling to 6th. Vettel finds himself in 7th place, just 7 thousandths ahead of Ricciardo. Stroll sits between the two McLaren cars, with Norris just 6 thousandths behind. Kvyat has Raikkonen, Magnussen and Ocon on his tail for P12, with Giovinazzi, Albon, Grosjean and the two Williams heading the back of the pack. And finally, before qualifying, we have practice 3, which Verstappen again takes top spot 4 from Bottas and now Leclerc in 3rd. Hamilton is 4th, with Gasly and Vettel 5th and 6th. Ricciardo is just behind with another Renault sandwich, as Perez is between the Australian and Ocon. Behind this, Giovinazzi just 9 thousandths behind Sainz for 10th, with Norris, Grosjean and Kvyat just a 10th behind this battle. Stroll could only manage P15 as Magnussen, Raikkonen, Albon and again the two Williams cars round off the field. Few little tongue twisters there, but we got there. As we head into qualifying for the British Grand Prix, leaving practice, it is again looking like it's going to be another 2-horse race between Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas for pole position, but let's see what Q1 has in store for us today. It is a strong session for Max Verstappen, who heads Bottas, Leclerc, Hamilton, Ricciardo and then Perez. Vettel finds himself down in 8th place, but comfortably into the next session, as with Gasly. Then comes Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Stroll and Norris, with Ocon and Raikkonen both just making it through to Q2. Out, however, are Magnussen in the Haas and an alternating quartet of Kvyat, Russell, Albon, then Latifi. So this weekend is definitely going very well for Max Verstappen as he heads Q2 from Bottas, Leclerc, Ricciardo and Hamilton. Gasly is P6, just 1 tenth clear of Ocon, who makes it through to Q3. Vettel is only 9th and also just into the Q3 session by half a tenth, with Stroll making it in by only 0.03 of a second. Sainz, the two Alfa Romeo cars, Grosjean and Norris in the second McLaren are all out. As we head to the final qualifying session, Q3 for the British Grand Prix, it is a third pole position in a row for Max Verstappen as he beats Bottas by 0.3 of a second, with Hamilton 1 second down in third place. Leclerc is fourth for Ferrari and Ricciardo fifth, ahead of Gasly and Vettel. Ocon splits the two Racing Point cars of Perez in 8th and Stroll in 10th. So looking at the starting grid now, we have the two Racing Point cars gaining well over last year, with Perez and Stroll gaining 7 and 8 places from last year, with Norris and Albon both losing 7 and 10. So heading to the race that should have been on the 28th of June. However, I'm not uploading the video on the 28th of June, but it is okay, not the end of the world. It is so far looking very good for Max Verstappen. Hopefully he can put his retirement of Austria behind him. What can Ferrari do on the grid? Don't know where they're starting, I can't remember. And also Bottas and Hamilton are second and third. Let's get into the race. It is Lewis Hamilton who takes his 4th victory of the year so far and his 7th at home. Bottas makes it a Mercedes 1-2, with Ricciardo finally getting a good race result, securing a podium for Renault, their very first in the sport since joining back in 2016. Gasly finished P4 ahead of Raikkonen and Kvyat, who both had extremely strong races, from 13th and 17th on the grid. Perez is P7, with the two Ferraris languishing in 8th and 9th. After such a strong run in Austria, it seems to have fallen apart here in Britain. Stroll completes the top 10 for Racing Point, with Ocon, Sainz, Russell, Magnussen and Norris completing the race finishes, with the 5 randomly selected non-finishers being Giovinazzi, Latifi in the Williams, Verstappen after starting from pole position, his second retirement in a row now, Grosjean, and finally Albon. It is Valtteri Bottas though who storms to the fastest lap of the race, 6/10 clear from teammate Lewis Hamilton. So taking a look at the effect that the British Grand Prix has had on the championships, we move to the drivers' gains, and it is also quite evenly spread out among the field, with the top and the bottom half scoring double-digit points. However, shuffling, there is a lot of shuffling here. Bottas moves to P2 in the championship as Vettel falls to 6th. Ricciardo leaps up to 12th, Raikkonen to 10th as Giovinazzi and Ocon fall. It leaves Hamilton at the top of the drivers at the top of the drivers' standings, still 23 points clear from Bottas, with a Red Bull and Ferrari alternating quartets forming behind, with Leclerc 3 points from Verstappen and Vettel 3 points from Gasly. Stroll is still 7th, with 14 points clear of Kvyat, who has 22 points, covering him all the way down to Russell. Damn, there are so many tongue twisters in this, I can't speak. So taking a look at the constructors' gains, it is Mercedes who run away with all 44 points available, to Renault's 15, Red Bull's 12, Alfa Romeo's 10, AlphaTauri's 8, Racing Point 7 and Ferrari's 6. However, it is in more simple terms in terms of shuffling this time round, as Haas and McLaren fall behind the two Alfa Romeo cars and Renault, as Mercedes' lead in the championship stretches to 96 points by round 10, as Ferrari are now just 6 behind Red Bull. Racing Point are still in 6th place, with Alfa Romeo 5th, with just 7 points between them in 5th place and McLaren in 9th. And that is the end of the British Grand Prix for my fantasy prediction season. It is once again a Mercedes 1-2, although not as common in the 2019 season, but it is definitely their second 1-2 in a row around Silverstone, with Hamilton coming away with his 7th victory in a row. Other notable performances were Raikkonen and Kvyat storming from the bottom half of the grid to finish well in the points. But where has Ferrari's pace gone this round? It has just disappeared, languishing down in 8th and 9th place. It is really not good at all. And also Verstappen's luck. It's dreadful. He's had 2 strong qualifying performances in Austria and in Britain here, but both ended in retirements. So far it is only Lewis Hamilton, front runner, that has not retired yet. But remember back to the very first few races, it did take him a while before he actually won anything. And for that matter, got on the podium, to be honest. But that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.